Okay. Well, thank you, Brandon, for agreeing to meet with me for my last project. As I start off every session, just to let you know, and then we talk about the competition between you and I. However, there are things where you want to harm yourself or harm someone else. Is the camera distracting you?
It's not confidential if the camera picture, but go ahead.
I'm sorry?
It's not confidential if the camera picture.
Okay. So if anything you want to harm yourself or harm anyone else that I think is a valuable plan, you have to notify the proper authorities to make sure that you're okay, and so is the other people involved. Is that okay with you?
That's perfect.
Okay, as I just discussed with you pre-camera filming, this session is really for you to just let me know. We only have 10 minutes, so really, what do you want to talk about?
My new journey and my new job.
Your new journey, new job? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
The mental aspects of it, that it just pulls you from meeting different people from different walks of life, and the mental, I can mentally just be draining on you at some time for that. You have people who want you to find jobs for them, and they have all of these aspects of homelessness and having backgrounds and dealing with sometimes being dual diagnosed with drugs and mental illness. It can be very draining at times. It's very draining at times.
And what did you do before this job?
I work with special needs children.
Okay. And how long have you been on this job?
Since January the 5th.
Okay. So when you say draining, do you mean that you go home emotionally, mentally devoid of any energy, or there's just some good points of it?
I think it has its good points. Some days are better than the others, but it is some days that where people they're very demanding on you.
Demanding.
And so it's it gets a challenge balancing your personal life and your work life.
Tell me about that balance between personal life and work life. What do you mean by that?
Sometimes it's always like scheduling appointments. I found myself having personal appointments and moving that around to sometimes feel the needs of the clients. So it's kind of a time juggling thing for me. Looking at my calendar, seeing what I have to do. And then some days it's the urgency by the client that stops by, not just saying, I can't meet with you right now, but kind of being that listening ear for them.
And how does that, your daytime job, impact your evening time, your personal time?
I'm like drained.
Drained?
Yeah. Like I want to take a nap by 5 o'clock. Like now.
Well, that's expected. But this isn't the only job you do, though.
No, it isn't. No.
So what kind of other stuff do you do?
I work in an after-school program. Then I have a home health care clinic.
So what I'm hearing is that you got 3 jobs. So you really don't have any turn-off time.
I do. I've made myself turn off by 6.
Turn off by 6?
6, yeah. Everything has to turn off by 6.
And what do you do after 6?
Go home, relax, but then I'm also in grad school, so it's a great deal of reading on that part there.
So what I'm hearing you say, you got a full-time job, 2 part-time jobs, and full-time school.
Correct.
How are you balancing that?
I don't know. I don't know, Mr. Brown. I mean, some days, it's just better than the others, but it's there. It's there. I think I do a lot of prioritizing of things that needs to be there. I have to use a lot of electronic devices to remind me of things that I need to do for me, alarms. So it's a lot. I think that with having a job where you have a lot of freedom and a lot of autonomy to do it in, it's that you can get mixed up. You can get caught up in some of the things that you need to do versus when I used to work a job when I was working 7 to 3, I knew between the hours of 7 and 3 I had to do nothing but work. But now, it's different.
So what I'm hearing you say is the previous job you had, your time was accounted for. And then now you have a lot of freedom and flexibility to prioritize what you want to work on that day and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Is that a better situation or worse in your opinion?
It's better. I don't have to use so much of sometimes of company paid time or company time to take off. If I need to go to the doctor or if I need to do something personal, I can do within the day. just as long as I get my time in throughout the week. So I do find myself sometimes working on Saturdays and Sundays, but it's nothing I dislike. But some days are just really stressful.
So what do you do for your self-care? Because I heard you say earlier that it gets overwhelming, it gets stressful, you're drained by the new day. How do you refill your energy up? What do you do for yourself?
So I made myself, prior to this job, I was still 3 jobs, and I was working them all simultaneously at once. So I only worked my second job 2 days a week, so that I know that Thursdays are my day off, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. Shop, look at TV, so those are kind of my outlets.
I know with me, with my job here, as a counselor, it can be stressful. So some days I do kind of the same thing. Shop. I make sure I do mani-pedi days. I go take myself on dates and things like that.
Do you eat?
I definitely eat.
Yeah. I can tell. Yeah.
You can tell. Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah, I just get that.
I think sometimes you've been with me when we were eating.
Yeah. So. Yeah. We all have our outlets.
I guess. So tell me a little bit more about how, when you're at, do you like your job?
I love it. I think I like that no case or nobody is in the same. So it's some days where sessions about working turns into counseling sessions. That's the reason why you're learning people's behaviors and patterns of how they got there. Today, I spent a lot of time meeting with a female client, which I don't have a lot of. I have a lot of males, and especially black males, and it's easy for me to relate to them. But I found myself in a session with a woman who was telling me about her repeated use of being addicted to drugs, cocaine, heroin, and then saying that her dad is a user too, so she doesn't talk to her dad because her dad is that constant trigger. So then we moved on to the part of what type of job you need it doesn't have the trigger. And I learned something today that certain things that if she was to work in a kitchen, she doesn't drink pop because pop reminds her of drinking. And so she doesn't do that. So it was a lot. It was a really 90-minute session today of just really getting to know her. And so I take that, and I don't make any decisions at that moment. I take everything that she said to me, and I tell her that I'm going to meet with her in a couple of days so that I can process everything that she said to me. We can come up with a plan. But again, today she was new. But then I have another client that's still calling on the telephone. Hey, you got this job, you got that job. So it can be very, as part as demanding, because they have a whole set of different problems.
Yeah, it sounds like it's demanding. It also sounds like that you have to juggle a lot and put on different hats. Because from what you just described, not only were you doing an assessment, but you sound like you was almost doing a mental health assessment, coupled with what you do for your job assessment. So do you use other resources? Like when the client comes in and they have this extreme history of drug and alcohol mental health, do you have other resources that you utilize with them?
They know that we're linked, that they do a release of information so that we can speak with their counselor. So we can speak with their counselor, and we can utilize other community resources as far as they need. By the time they get to me, they should already be linked to having mental health. I do the vocational part of it, they have a mental health specialist, but together we work as a team for them. So if it is, some people, when we meet, we say that the drug addiction, the LD uses is just too much right now. They're not ready to work. That we're going to keep them in a contemplation or a planning stage till they get that together. So it is, the wonderful thing is working with a team.
So I heard you say contemplation and
Planning
stage, so you use stages of change. How do you like using that?
I like it, but it changes as the person changes. Someone can be in what we call an action stage to going back to contemplation or planning, depending on what happens in their lives.
I can imagine it's difficult, especially when you're doing job placement with them.
It is.
So in our last 19 seconds, Mr. Chapman, was there anything else that you want to discuss?
No, this has been very wonderful for me. Very therapeutic.
Very therapeutic, okay. Well, thank you, sir. You have a great day. Stop this, I'll cuss you out.